Hey, this is Will Martin from Earshot, and you're listening to the Brutally Delicious Podcast.
One, two, three, four. The Brutally Delicious Podcast.
What's it like trying to navigate the music world in these times?
Well, it's never been easy, but
But now it's got to be 100 times worse, right?
it's funny. I was just thinking to myself the other day, scrolling through the social media feeds. Every band is just clawing for just whatever little amount of attention that they can get. I mean, it's really crazy, actually.
I think it's a lot to do with like everybody had been locked away for so long that once the floodgates opened, there's just too many people out there, right? Used to be it was
Yeah.
spaced out a little bit with releases, but everybody had to come out of the gates raring to go.
Yeah.
So you sort of
Yeah.
flood the market, maybe.
Maybe so. It's just, I think everybody's kind of scratching and clawing for their little slice of the pie
Yeah.
out there.
And even when you get to the like venues and stuff, I mean, there's only so many venues to handle because you lost a lot of them during the pandemic. So there's only so many venues to handle all the shows, right?
That makes sense too. Yeah. Good
Very
point.
strange. So unraveling, what's been the response to it so far? Your newest single.
It's been pretty good. Again, it's a crowded place out there with music too.
Right.
But with our fans, the response has been really good, and currently we're working on recording a new album, so that's what we're getting ready to start doing in the next month and a half. We're just in the process of writing now, but we're all meeting up in Florida. Record a full-length LP.
Nice. What's your writing process like? Are you guys able to get into the studio together and write, or is that not even a thing anymore? Do you kind of just email stuff back and forth?
So right now we're just emailing stuff or Dropboxing stuff back and forth. When we get together in a month, we'll be getting together. We'll have all of these song ideas that we've been passing back and forth to each other, and sort of, to finish flushing out some of them and making decisions about which songs we want to move forward with and which ones that we don't. And then we'll be recording, obviously, the album all together with each other there. But in the meantime, while we're writing, we all have our own little studios.
Right.
So just, put together our ideas and then just kind of ship them down the line to the next guy and
Right.
let them tinker with them.
But it's good that you're able to get into the studio together, or even at least a rehearsal space, because I think that's where the magic happens, right? That's something that's missing from a lot of today's music, I think.
100%. And, for us too, I was just talking about this the other day, actually. We were slated to go into the studio together in 2020, just before the pandemic hit. And then, of course, that happened. So we, sort of had to learn how to work apart from each other since we all live, in different places. And
Right.
so I think, since then, the challenge has been, trying to, sort of vibe off of each other in the writing process, which happens when you're in, the same room together.
Right. Yeah, that was my point. Right.
Yeah. So I think, oddly enough, I mean, now we literally just, like, in the last month or two, just sort of turned a corner to where we're not thinking about that so much, and we're just writing and sending off, letting the other guys sort of, put their 2 cents in, cook up, tinker, And so we're not thinking about the fact that we're not in the same room as much as we were. And I think that was sort of the hiccup in our process, was that, that's, as you pointed out, that's usually the norm for a band, is to all be in the same room together, bouncing ideas off each other. And that kind of, I think there was a little hesitancy there, with the shipping it back and forth, um, because nobody wants to start an idea and work on it for hours or days, and
Oh
then
yeah, I didn't
somebody
think of
doesn't
that.
like it, and then it's deflating, right? So we experienced a little of that, but I think we're all getting to know and sort of look down the line about what someone's gonna like, what they're not gonna like. I think we're getting to be aware of our likes and dislikes and tastes and our influences. So that's made it easier now. So I think it's just going to get, the process is going to get a lot easier moving forward now that, we can all get together
Right.
in the room. Yeah.
And I think, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, or maybe it's just an opinion, I think there is a tangible difference in records that were made where people got together and bounced ideas off each other, rather than like a lot of bands that I've listened to, they're around the world just Dropboxing or emailing stuff. I think you can feel a difference in it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I do. But then again, technology has advanced so much,
Right.
in the last 10 years, where, I think a lot of that is sort of over homogenized, that feeling, that sense of, the band having been in the same room together, writing, recording too. So that's another thing to sort of contend with too. But I mean, all of that stuff is useful. I mean, we use some of that stuff too, but it's a really fine line and a balance, of trying to, because when you're recording a song, what makes a song cool is capturing that performance, that lightning in a bottle that
Right.
that you can't perform really exactly the same ever again. I mean, you hear it on all of the great records, Led Zeppelin. I mean, as great of a band as Led Zeppelin was, or the Beatles, or Sabbath, like what we heard on those records, they could never really exactly ever do. And there was just those moments. So it's a fine line that we try to walk with that. And we understand that, a lot of it is about capturing that moment that's just not going to come around again.
Right. So I know you said you write a bunch of songs and then you're gonna kind of filter them out for the upcoming release. How many songs? I mean, are you writing like a ton and then sorting them out, or do you mostly just write for the record?
Yeah, no, we all write. We're always writing, and I think now we're just sort of starting to pass along the ideas that we've been working on for the last 4, 5, 6 months. And in some cases, some of these songs were, little ideas that happened a year or two or three. I think there's one song that I came up with, and it was just a little idea. It wasn't the whole song. That sprouted almost 10 years ago. So I mean, there's all kinds of stuff, and we're just now going through the process of just building onto that. And it's a cool process, actually. It's really it's a nice challenge and a nice change of pace. So that's the process. And it's kind of not that much different from the process that we've worked with before. I mean, the only difference being is that a lot of times when we're incepting these ideas, we are in the same room together. But so the only real difference between now and then is that one step of all being in the same room when it's born. But other than that, I think there's something to be said for both ways. Being in the same room and bouncing ideas off each other in that moment in real time, and then there's also something to be said for having that privacy, that space to kind of explore, experiment without somebody jumping in and coming in with another idea that they're thinking, or saying they like it or don't like it before you've really had a chance to like formulate
Right.
the idea that you have. So I think there's something to be said for both of those things, actually.
Okay. How much effort do you put in, or how much personal thought do you put into not writing the same record? I mean, you still have to stay true to Earshot, but you also don't want to rewrite the previous LP or EP, right?
Yeah, that's been another challenge, at least for me artistically, is I've never really wanted to write the same record or the same song twice. And it seems like, and maybe it's just the small sample size that I'm seeing perhaps, but it feels like the more that we sort of go outside the lines, the more people want us to go back to where we were. So what we're trying to do now is we're trying to find that balance of, being experimental and going outside while still maintaining, that essence of what it is that people appreciate about the
Right,
band.
because you can't really alienate your fans. You still have to be Earshot at the core of it, right?
Right. And I'm not, to be honest with you, I'm not really sure what that is that people hear, that one thing is that people identify with that. I mean, I don't feel like we've changed. I mean, we're still a hard rock band. Maybe it's just maybe for some people we've experimented a little much and gone a little too far, but I feel like the stuff that we're working on now is for me anyway, it feels like something that would have come out on our earlier records, like Letting Go, but a little bit more matured.
Mhm.
At least vocally, that's where I'm at. I'm really digging it, actually. I think it's really, really cool. And I think that has a lot to do with, the guys really understanding what really did it for this band in terms of what our fans liked, they weren't liking. And then I also think, the addition of Aaron and his experience and his songwriting experience, his brand of dark, heavy hard rock riffs and songs too, I think I think all of those things are now just starting to have now like sort of simmered overnight in the refrigerator. And but we'll see. We'll see what happens when we put this thing out and the
Right.
ship sails.
Do you have any kind of time frame, or is it still all up in the air?
So at the earliest, we'll put it out this winter, and the latest it'll be out early next spring,
Okay.
2024.
So with that all being said, are you planning on any kind of summer tours or any kind of runs, or is it going to be too busy?
So we're in the process now, actually, of buttoning up a little 2 or 3 week run that we're going to do in the fall. It's going to start in California, and it's either going to end in Florida or somewhere up in the East Coast. So it'll be somewhere between either 12 or 18 shows. I think we're going to just go out and do a little primer thing. And then
Right.
next year is the anniversary of our second album, Two. So we're hoping to get out there and do something a little more extensive for that, in addition to the new album that we'll be rolling out next year. Or
Right, so you'll be out. I mean, I guess you'll be out representing the record as well, right? Or touring the record as well as anniversary dates.
Yep.
Did you
So
ever
we might-
imagine? Go ahead. Sorry.
No, it might be. I was going to say it might be something where we do a run for each thing. So we might do something in the spring for the new album, or
Mhm.
the anniversary, or vice versa, and then do something in the fall for whichever one that we didn't
Right.
do in the spring.
You ever imagine you'd still be doing this so many years later?
Well, I mean, I imagine that I would always be creating and writing music and producing music. I'm not so sure. I think I've been hopeful, that
Right.
Earshot, as the band, the entity that it is, continues to make music and tour. It's definitely getting a little tougher, but we're hanging in there. We're holding our own for now, and hopefully we can just keep going and moving forward with it. But in terms of, creating music and writing music and putting that out, that's something that I think that we'll always do in some form or capacity.
Right. What does an Earshot show look? Well, that's a tongue twister. What does an Earshot show look like these days? I imagine it's super multi-generational, right?
Yeah, actually, I was just discussing that with a couple people in a couple meetings that I've had over the last few months, and actually, we're noticing that our demographic is really starting to change. For a while we had an older crowd, and not an old crowd, just an older crowd,
Right.
and now we're seeing that there's a lot of young people, 23 to 35 is our biggest audience right now. So I feel like, the younger generation are starting to discover us. Our, weight is through the roof on all streaming sites. I mean, it gets almost near probably 500,000 streams a week, which is crazy.
Yeah.
And it's really that song is just, I feel like it's doing better now than it did when we actually put it out, which it did really great.
And that was like a year and a half ago or something?
Wait came out in 2004. That was on its
never mind.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah. So Wait is it's just a beast. It by far and away is our best performing song in terms of, what gets the streams.
So that's weird what you're saying then, because then those people that are that demographic, they probably weren't even around, or they were babies when that was released.
Yeah, or they were really little. Yeah.
Wow, that's interesting.
It is. I mean, I've always felt like Wait was sort of in a category of its own at that time. It was still very, as you probably remember, that was still a new metal era. We still had Korn and all that stuff. And here we were with this pretty straightforward guitar driven,
right?
Really super heavy, but it had some spice to it. And that's what kind of separated it, I think, from the pack, back then when we put it out. And I think perhaps maybe that's what it's being recognized for now. I'm not sure.
I mean, whatever the case is, that's kudos to you. That's great, right? People are listening.
They're listening. So that's what's Wait is what's keeping us and has kept us in the game this long. That and Getaway and Headstrong. Right. Wait really being the leader in the pack of that three-headed.
Right. That's beautiful. So I know you said you've got the record and, a run coming up in the fall. Anything else happening this summer, or is that pretty much just working on the record?
Yeah, summer's just pretty much going to be working on the record and getting that all buttoned up and getting our fall tour
lined up, right?
Lined up.
And if fans want to find you, can you drop your socials for us?
Yeah, so we've made it really, really simple. Our official website is earshotband.com, and then all of our social handles are Earshot Band. So Facebook.com/Earshot Band, Twitter /Earshot Band, Instagram /Earshot Band. All really simple. YouTube, same thing.
That's nice. Always a pleasure to talk to you, man. I really dig your stuff, and good luck with it. Sometime maybe we'll catch you up here in Richmond or in Virginia somewhere.
Yeah, I think actually I saw something on the sheet. That's one of the places that we're going to be rolling through. So,
oh, sweet. Yeah, I'm right here.
Yeah. Love to see it.
Yeah, we'll stop by for a beer.
You got it, bud.
All right. Be well, my friend. Cheers.